Hello, everyone. It's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So, as you know, Thursday is Fishbowl Thursday, and this week we have a budget friendly, super sweet combo deck for Modern. This is Mono Green Belcher, was submitted by Sideflop. So, Sideflop, thanks for sending in a super sweet deck. If you want to send in a deck to be considered for Fishbowl Thursday, feel free to leave it in the comments to this video. Can also email me, saffronolive@mtggoldfish.com. Anyway, a quick reminder before we break down Mono Green Belcher for Modern. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Goblin Charbelcher is a pretty well-known combo piece. 4 mana to cast, 3 to activate. Then you reveal cards from the top of your library until you hit a land. Then Belcher deals damage equal to the number of non-land cards you revealed this way. If it's a mountain, which it'll never be in our deck because we don't have any mountains, you deal double the damage. So in our deck, the basic idea of this is we're trying to set up a situation where we cast and activate Goblin Charbelcher and reveal at least 20 cards, enough to kill our opponent before we hit a land card. So the trick to this, which is really interesting, is we just don't play a lot of lands. That's our solution to this problem. We're playing only 7 actual lands in our deck. 7 forests. That's all the lands we have, which means we can potentially use some of our other cards to get every single land out of our deck, also ramp us into our Goblin Charbelcher, and then when we cast the Charbelcher, we're guaranteed to just reveal our entire library and kill our opponent on the spot with like 50 damage or however many cards are left in our deck. So how do we make our deck function and actually cast a Goblin Charbelcher with only 7 lands in our deck? And we start off with Chancellor of the Tangle. So Chancellor of the Tangle is kind of a cheat card. We're never really going to cast it. At least it seems pretty unlikely that we cast it because it's 7 mana. The thing is we can reveal it in our opening hand, and if we do, we get a free green mana on our first main phase. So this kind of counts as an extra one-time land source, which means we actually have 11 sources of green mana that we can have in our opening hand. 7 forests, 4 Chancellor of the Tangle, which means odds are roughly around 70%. 70% of the time, we will have a source of mana. If we don't have any sources of mana, then we got a mulligan. But about 70-ish% of the time, we'll either have one of our forests or we'll have a Chancellor of the Tangle. As long as we have at least one source of mana, either a land or the Chancellor of the Tangle, then we should be fine because we have a ton of 1 mana ways to start pulling lands out of our deck. Caravan Vigil, Traverse to Uvenwald are both just 1 green mana, we get a basic land. We will probably never turn on Delirium for Traverse, probably never have Morbid for Caravan Vigil, so it's just grab one of our forests. So if we have our Chancellor or we have a forest, then we get another one out of our deck on turn 1. Renegade Map, same thing except it enters battlefield tapped. Ancient Stirrings maybe finds us a land, but it makes up for the fact that it might not actually find us a land by also finding our Goblin Charbelcher, which is kind of the second piece of the puzzle. As long as we can get our mana going, the only other challenge of the deck is making sure we can find our Goblin Charbelcher in a timely manner to actually kill our opponent. But having a ton of 1 mana ways to get another land out of our deck means as long as we have that one initial mana source, then we get to our second initial mana source. We also have Search for Tomorrows, another 1 mana get a land out of our deck. It takes a couple turns, but it still gets the job done. Utopia Sprawl is what if we have our 1 mana and that 1 mana is a forest, it gets us to 2 mana, ramps us towards that Goblin Charbelcher to win the game. Then we have some 2 mana ramp. Rampant Growth just gets another land out of our deck, and that's the other important aspect of all those cards we were talking about. Our Renegade Maps, our Search for Tomorrows, our Rampant Growths, our Sakura Tribe Elders, is not only are they ramping us into our Belcher and making sure we have mana to do our stuff, they're getting those 7 lands out of our deck. Instead of 7 lands, we're down to 6 lands, down to 5 lands, down to 4 lands, which means by the time we actually cast and activate our Goblin Charbelcher, we could literally have 0 lands in our deck because we're pulling all those lands out of our deck. Worst case, maybe we got 1 or 2 lands, and in that situation, the odds are still not too bad that we 20 our opponent with 1 Charbelcher activation. So, Rampant Growth, Sakura Tribe Elder, ramp us from 2 to 3, also get a land out of our deck. Wall of Roots does a very good job of blocking, while also ramping for us. Does not get a land out of our deck, but does slow down early beats. Then we have some 3-mana ramp. Nissa's Pilgrimage grabs 3 forests potentially, most likely, since we should have Spell Mastery out of our deck, which means we're likely getting just about every forest out of our deck with Nissa's Pilgrimage. To make sure that we aren't going to hit those with our Goblin Charbelcher, Recross the Past can potentially ramp us multiple times, thanks to the Clash mechanic returning to our hand, and then Gift of Paradise, a bit of life gain, also ramping us towards that Goblin Charbelcher. Then we have a little bit of interaction. Haze of Pollen cycles to draw us new cards. Also could just Faga for us if we need to. If we need to buy 1 turn to get the Charbelcher kill. Dismember gives us a cheap removal spell. Seal of Primordium gets rid of a Pithing Needle or something that could stop our Belcher plan. And that's basically the deck. The deck is all ramp to get those lands out of our deck to make sure we get to our Belcher. Then we just cast our Belcher for 4 mana, activate it for 3 mana, kill our opponent with just a single activation. As far as the sideboard, we have a couple of backup win conditions. Hornet Queen can come down and just clog up the board, give us a bunch of flyers to win the game. If our opponent has Pithing Needles or Ancient Grudges or other ways to shut down our primary plan of winning with Charbelcher, Obstinate Baloth gives us some discard protection, also some life gain. Then we have a bunch of ways to deal with artifacts and enchantments to fight through Leylines of Sanctity, Pithing Needles, the stuff that can stop the Belcher win. So we have a ton of answers to all those things. Also good against Tron, some of them. Creeping Corrosion, good against Affinity. So they answer other matchups as well, but they're primarily to shut down hate cards that would stop our Charbelcher kill. Dismember for more removal. Defense Grid gives us a way to fight through counter spells. And that is Mono Green Belcher for Modern. And that's our Instant Deck Tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.